What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Summer Gravity, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, let's jump into more of your comments here, answering your comments, and yeah, we're just going to pick up right where we left off. So, Mammoth commenting on the which land card is best for you, the video that I did recently, kind of going through each of the different rarities and abilities and all that. And so Mammoth says here, I feel like once again this will bring DEC to the team in exchange for unnecessary inflation on the multiple tokens generated by the lands, which will just make the rich players even richer, while the smaller players will never be able to climb the ranks. For example, with a 1 copy of Legendary, you'll generate 25%, plus 25%, while a rich player will buy a max copy and generate plus 100%. Okay, so I agree with most of what you're saying, because generally the rich players spend more money and therefore get more stuff. And that's kind of just how life works in general. Whether I know, Lorcas didn't like this reference, but it's just like rich people will buy more assets that give them more money. And yes, it does create a widening gap, and that's whether that's in this game or whether that's just in life. That's just how it works. But I mean, I agree with you on your assessment. I just don't think that there's anything like fundamentally that we could do differently, unless we're trying to get unless we're just trying to do something. I don't know. You know what? Let me not get into this, because we're not going to have a political stream here. But the first thing you said, I feel like once again this will bring DEC to the team in exchange for unnecessary inflation on the multiple tokens. I don't understand that. How does the team get DEC for this? Maybe I misunderstood something, maybe I misread something, but if somebody could correct me or confirm for me that the team is getting DEC in exchange, I don't see how that's happening. In fact, if anything, what's fascinating about this set is that the team is getting nothing out of it. This is going to be something that literally just benefits landholders and the card economy, which again, the team isn't getting anything for it, right? They're not even being paid. They didn't get paid a DEC lump sum, and I don't think there's anything on the back end that the team is going to receive either. Unless again, I am incorrect, but I believe everything that we saw in terms of the cost for this is going to be relatively straightforward and come from already existing tokens. Nothing's going to go to the team. I believe it's all going to get burned. But please correct me if I'm wrong. All right, Wibble says, yes, Mr. Jangles and Mr. Blaze on the Painforge stream said there will be a Beaver in the new Jackpot mini set. Nice, which is coming. All right, so soon Beaver. Mr. Clay said in the tavern, I might like pickles too. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Now I am up to speed. All right, SharpVid says, the old cards have lost so much of their value. They were useful for land. Won't this hurt them more? I gave up on this game. If they keep reducing the value of old cards, it just becomes pay to play. Well, keep in mind, it has always become pay to play, so it's not becoming pay to play. It has always been pay to play, although there has been a shift recently to a free-to-play model that gets people onboarded slowly and steadily. So if you're worried about it becoming pay to play, you're late. It's already been pay to play. The other thing that I will say is that the old cards have lost so much of their value. They were useful for land. So I agree with you in the sense that the old cards, the old cards have lost their value, which I believe is the same for any kind of trading card game out there, right? Physical or analog or digital. That's just how it goes. Power creep happens. But yes, they were supposed to be useful for land, and now they're not going to be as useful because there's better cards for land coming out. But this is where I believe Cinder actually is pretty awesome, right? It's going to burn a lot of the excess older cards that we have. I've always said that Chaos Legion was supposed to be the land set. But even still, when you look at it, it's like how many people are going to put Hardy Stonefishes, like a max level Hardy Stonefish on their land plots? It's just not worth it. You're not going to get much out of that. Now you'll be able to burn these Hardy Stonefishes for Cinder and get better cards out of it. So is it perfect? No, but does it help to offset, some of the excess that we have? I believe so, and a lot of this is just kind of experimental as we go. I like the direction that the team is heading with this. I think it's an innovative solution to a problem that we have not been able to solve. But I guess it remains to be seen how effective it will be. But I like it so far, or at least in theory. All right, Melkor. Hey, I haven't seen you in a bit. Melkor says, not yet, but if 2.0 ever comes out, then I'll agree it's complicated. Oh, this is in response to my land being complicated. Yeah, I mean, I would say land already is complicated, and the complication, or I should say complexity really, is only going to grow over time. But that to me is kind of how games are in general. Like the deeper you get into them, the more complex they become. If you wanted to just play in Foundation mode, right, or the Foundation set in Frontier mode, it's relatively simple and straightforward. But the deeper you get into the game, the more complex it is. And I would make the argument that players of all different kinds of things, or just people in general, love complexity of the things that they are passionate about. So yes. That was a little bit of a clickbaity title, but that was the point, right? Like, is it too complicated now? Well, it's complicated or complex, and it's going to get even more complex. But as long as the starting is relatively easy, and I would say that's actually a difficult question to ask, or a difficult question to answer, just because I've been around the game for 4+ years at this point. So we'll have to wait and see. I'd love to get the opinions of newer players who might be wanting to get into Land at some point. But I will say this, there are going to be new players that come in that absolutely love what Land is trying to do, because it was what was promised with Land in all of these other games 4 years ago when the metaverse was popping off. Splinterlands actually has that with Land. Land is fully integrated with the game. It's fully complex. There's markets and a game economy specifically around Land, and all of these things have utility. Now, again, it's on the team to continue to deliver more utility over time, but that's what they're doing, and that's what we're living through now. All right, so Pop says, I'm not saying it's favoring whales. It's lopsided. My lands fundamentally use life, death, and fire. There is no fire, and life, death need R, which I don't have, so anything I could craft would be useless to me. If they wanted to do a proof of concept, they could have issued neutral cards, maybe also dragon with 4 rarities as to not exclude anyone. Okay, I agree with you on that, Pump. Not even going to push back. I think neutral cards would have been interesting. Especially if they weren't going to, release like one for each element. The neutral cards would have been interesting, but it is what it is. Hopefully they can rebalance this in a future set. But to your point, right now, it's not going to benefit you. That being said, my hope is that you're able to use some of these other cards that don't give you like a massive detraction. It's just you're not going to get that 10% boost because they're part of that. But maybe they give you a boost on wood. Maybe they give you a boost on gray. Maybe they give you a boost on iron or stone, whatever it is. So, the math will be out there. And I do wonder, let's actually reserve some judgment here. Maybe this is something we can ask on the next town hall. I do wonder if there was a reasoning behind them not choosing, life, death. What is it? There's no fire. If there was a reason for them not choosing fire, if for some reason like fire was the most used card or for most used element. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, in order to incentivize other elements, they started with those. Again, it's a good question to ask, but I don't disagree with your point. International Travel Channel, thank you so much for the comment. Shopboy says, Land has always been too complicated. It is the most convoluted and boring at the same time that I've ever seen in any game. Land is not for you, my friend. I am really enjoying it. So if you are not enjoying it, that's totally cool. It is just a passive kind of. The way I look at it is like it's like building, or it's like Tetris, right? Like you're just trying to maximize all the different pieces that you have, all the different pieces that you can get, and maximize it out. So I like it. I think it's fascinating, and I know I'm not alone in that. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's all it is. Some people will look at the card game and call that boring. Some people will look at Fortnite and say that's boring. Some people will look at whatever. So I think this is more of a preferential thing. So if you don't like it, that's cool. That's all it is. And if you don't like it, it makes sense that the complexity bothers you, right? So the complexity is a turnoff. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so Nicola says, funny that the plot initial cost was $8 to $15, and now one max card for the same plot costs up to $550. Sketchy. Well, that's only the legendary cards, and these are going to be essentially, I know they're not promo cards necessarily, but they are land-specific cards. You don't need to use those cards. You could use smaller cards and still get benefits on your land. Also, I think plots are still going for less than $15. So, Cyrus Sperm says, now plots cost even $10K with the castle. Imagine how much it will cost cars in a few years. We all know that ain't going to happen. All right, well, it is what it is. Banana says, it's too complicated for me, but I think we have something that nerds worldwide would appreciate. I agree. If I go back in time to show this game to the nerds in my high school, they would have loved it. Our audience is out there. People like complicated, nerdy shit, but we have some very complicated, very nerdy shit. I agree. But again, it's about finding your audience. And keep in mind, land is a side quest, right? Like land is a side quest for the people that really love to nerd out about this stuff. The game, right, the actual game or TCG Auto Battler, that's still the core of Splinterlands to me. And who knows what other kinds of things that they might introduce as other side quests in the future. But people like the largest audience, and again, it's still niche, but the largest audience is always going to be towards the what's that called? Going to be towards the trading card game or the auto battler. Sharpfit 2 says, I feel that there aren't that many people into very complicated, very nerd shit. Most of them are probably making tons of money doing very, very complicated shit. Very nerd. Okay. They would have time. All right. Well, keep in mind, I mean, this game has not reached the masses by any means, and we have not done any marketing. We have not done any kind of things to reach like a critical mass of folks to make that judgment, in my opinion. It's a proof of concept. If there are people who love the game as it is right now, it means that there are other people out there that would love the game and want to be involved in it. Now, this game exists in a crossroads of a lot of different things. It's a TCG, right? So you get a lot of people who are not necessarily into TCGs. It exists in Web3 and the crypto space. You get a lot of people who are not even anywhere remotely close to understanding crypto and getting onboarded into that. And so it's like niche within a niche within a niche. Plus, like the way, like the intersections are completely different and divergent in many ways. So I believe that in the future, this game can have probably tens of thousands of players. And you're going to look at that and be like, tens of thousands, that's hilarious, like whatever. But look at how the game is doing with just a couple hundred players, right? Or a couple thousand players. Imagine what happens when you have tens of thousands of players. And I'm talking about this in a world that has 8 billion people and growing. So, yeah, I mean, you can look at this now and say, there's not a lot of people out there that would be into it. I disagree. I think the fact that you have people who are very passionate in a small group setting right now, just wait for this to get out, do a little bit better now that they're on the road to hopefully, greener pastures, better token prices, better asset prices. Again, I can't guarantee that, none of this financial advice, but we have seen a lot of things change within the game that have made it a better game overall and have fixed a lot of problems in the economy. It's just that there's still too much excess. And so we'll see if the team can continue to deliver and get rid of that excess. We'll see if the team can continue to deliver and fix whatever this to me, it's a re-inflation, recirculation of DEC back into the game, which that will be the downfall of the game in many ways if we cannot figure out another way to handle this. But that's just my thought right now. Hopefully in the future sets we'll find a better solution. All right, Keeg says, it used to be 3,600 for Champ. I believe it was 3,700. I think it's always been 37. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about energy here. I thought it was the rating. 2,800 for Diamond. I used to buy a decent bit of energy, but I don't think I can anymore with the new prices. A bit too high. Well, my concern is that, is it going to be, I know that I'm not on the high end of glint earners. So the question then becomes like, okay, I used to be able to get close to maxing out a set. I don't know how close I'll be able to get at this point. And for people who are even on the lower end of the scale, like it's going to be even more difficult for them. What I think they were trying to do is kind of grade on a curve, but the opposite, where the people at the high end just had way too much glint. And so they have to kind of reset that to make it so that when they get there, you're talking about people who will play in Champ 1 of either league, it takes them the entire year or year plus to get there. So now everybody else, it's going to be even more difficult. But I suppose it incentivizes you to, level up if you can. All right, we'll just do a couple more because I don't even know how long it's been so far. Oh my God, 13 minutes. All right, last one. Sharp2 says, I enjoyed the game when it was alpha and beta cards. As it got more complicated, I stopped playing. Stuck in there hoping land might be good, but that's next level complicated. I'm surprised that nobody has forked away from this, as I'm sure there's a good game in there, but the people running it haven't got a clue. The money grabbing is too much. I liked it when there were no tokens, just Steam Hive. I guess it was always going this way, but there was a time when I believed, back when it was still Steam Monsters. Well, you know what? I think you should try to fork the game and do it yourself. And I don't say that dismissively. If you believe that you can do it better, then go for it. I will say that in many ways, I hate the fact, as a Bitcoin max, I hate the fact that there's so many freaking tokens. It should have just been DEC. And if they wanted to introduce SPS, it should have just been SPS. Like, they should have gotten rid of DEC. Now it's just like, vouchers, you have all these land tokens. And like, I get it, especially for something like land. But, it's... I still like what's being built here. The complexity hasn't thrown me off, and the complexity hasn't driven me away. If anything, it's made me more appreciative of the game, and especially at the higher levels. I love the fact that you are now able to play with ghost card tournaments and just ghost cards in general. So you can play the game and enjoy the game, keep up with the meta without having to own the cards. And many people were scared of that in the beginning, but now you can like create a whole other kind of economy and economy on top of that, which I don't think people have really done yet, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, I will just say thanks again, International Travel Channel. All right, we'll save the rest for later. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.